In what is likely his final appearance on the world stage, President Joe Biden faces a challenging question. What should he convey to world leaders about potential shifts in U.S. policy, with President-elect Donald Trump returning to the White House and his America First agenda? Biden will depart Thursday for Peru and Brazil to attend two major economic summits. He will spend Friday and Saturday in Lima with leaders of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC Forum, which includes 21 member economies promoting free trade in the region. On Monday and Tuesday, he will be in Rio de Janeiro for the Group of 20 G20 summit with leaders from the world's 20 largest economies. During his journey from Lima to Rio, Biden will make a brief stop in Manaus for a climate-focused engagement in the Brazilian state of Amazonas. In his meetings, Biden must address allies and partners who may question the stability of U.S. global commitments. These leaders saw Trump withdraw the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accord and threaten to exit NATO during his first term. Uncertainty over U.S. policy will make it harder to establish a global agenda on pressing issues like trade, poverty, debt alleviation, climate change, sustainable development, and green energy. There will be a combination of reflection, speculation, and anticipation about early U.S. policies and how other countries can best prepare, said Victor Cha, president of the Geopolitics and Foreign Policy Department at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. For these leaders, Biden's message is that America's allies are crucial to U.S. national security, said National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in a briefing on Wednesday. They make us stronger, expand our capabilities, share the burden, and contribute to common goals, Sullivan said. He highlighted that Biden's attendance at APEC coincides with U.S. alliances in the region being at an all-time high, with strengthened ties to Japan, Korea, Australia, and the Philippines. According to Sullivan,
over the next several days, tomorrow he travels to South America. His first stop will be Peru for the APEC summit, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. And then he'll go on to Brazil for the first ever presidential trip to the Amazon, and then to the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro. At APEC, the president will reinforce America's leading role in the Indo-Pacific. And over the last 4 years, he has markedly enhanced our strategic position in this vital region, from our treaty alliances to AUKUS to the Quad to the historic trilateral with Japan and Korea. And with respect to that trilateral, he will meet with President Yoon of South Korea and Prime Minister Ishiba of Japan to celebrate the historic cooperation between our three nations and discuss the importance of institutionalizing the progress we've made so that it carries forward through the transition.
The White House said that in Rio de Janeiro, Biden would demonstrate the United States' value to developing countries and lead the G20 to address shared global challenges.
President Biden will visit the rainforest, engage with local leaders who are working to preserve and protect this critical ecosystem. And as I noted, this will be the first ever visit of a sitting U.S. president to the Amazon. President Biden will then travel to Rio de Janeiro to participate in his fourth and final G20 Leaders Summit. High on the agenda there will be issues associated with debt sustainability for low and middle income countries, mobilizing finance for infrastructure, physical, digital, energy infrastructure around the world, and also dealing, obviously, with the major geopolitical issues of the day, from Ukraine to the Middle East.
He is expected to hold bilateral meetings with Peruvian President Dina Boluarte and Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Matt Murray, the U.S. senior official for APEC, said,
the United States continues to see APEC as a really important platform for engagement with the region on all of the top priority issues for all of us. And whether that's related to trade and investment, or sustainability, or economic inclusion, or resiliency, we have a lot of work to do together as a region to really address, some of the major challenges that are out there, whether that's global economic slowdown, whether that's recovering fully from the COVID pandemic, whether that's addressing the climate crisis, all of those things. And for all of those reasons, that's why we were really honored and privileged to be able to host APEC in the United States in 2023. And so as we transition to the Peru host year, these meetings in Arequipa are really important. These are our first ministerial meetings of the year. I think Peru deserves a lot of credit for not only having the trade ministerial, but also this week having the Women in Economy Forum and a joint ministerial of women in the economy and trade ministers together. because women's economic empowerment is such a huge issue in APEC, and it's such a huge issue for our region. So we want to do whatever we can to promote women's economic participation, to promote women-owned businesses, access to supply chains, and to really be able to promote a trade policy for the region that's more inclusive. So to be able to do all those things this week in the first ministerial meetings of the APEC 2024 year is a really tremendous opportunity for the United States and for all of the economies that are participating here.